I just watched Avatar Fire and Ash. I don't know how to review this. It's wild. Perhaps I should start with what I liked. It's visually spectacular, as all of them always are. A lot of the fight scenes were really cool to watch. I liked settings and people that we got to see. There's like these people who are ship captains on floating, flying jellyfish ships. It was pretty cool. But all of that minor. The real awesome thing is the Fire Lady. That antagonist, just her visual design is so good, and like her as a character is just so fun to watch that she kind of single-handedly elevated every scene that she was in for me. Just her whole deal was so fun and entertaining, and she was a delight to watch. Spicy relationship with Quaritch, the villain from the previous two movies, and well, the fanfiction for those two is going to be many pages long on AO3. Let's just put it that way. But it was fun. That was the interesting part of the film. My big complaint is there needed to be more of them. Like, their part of the story I thought was interesting and new and entertaining, and there was like new things being done there because we haven't had a Na'vi antagonist, and having a Na'vi antagonist was really fun to watch because, one, her visual design was fantastic. Two, it's a little more than just humans bad, Na'vi good. There's like a ideological difference, like almost a religious difference going on, which is different and new for the series. But also, just from a sheer visual feast perspective, it allowed for the story to have pterodactyl dragon on pterodactyl dragon fights, and those were like fantastic. Like, every fight with her and Neytiri were great and really exciting to watch, and I love that. She also introduced a consequence or a risk that wasn't death, which I am always a big fan of in fiction. So she, not only does she kill you, but she also can like cut off their like thing in their hair that they can plug into the world thing. She like cuts that, which is like horrific and great as a threat. In the beginning, when she's chasing like Sully's family through the woods, in the back of your mind you're like, oh, they could do that to them, oh my god, that's horrifying, and that was actually exciting, until of course I remembered that those people had plot armor and that was never going to happen. But for a brief instant I was like completely engaged in that portion because I was like, well, I didn't think that they were going to die, but I could totally see that happening, and that's horrifying. And I liked that as a consequence and as a risk to put into those fights. Or being captured by her is like a terrifying prospect. She can do that sort of thing. The threat of being captured, though, had diminishing returns. Because, dear Lord, this entire film is like a musical chairs of who gets captured when. I mean, the entire movie is... every single person gets captured. Every main character gets imprisoned and captured at some point in the story. Villains and protagonists. Like, it's just a never-ending scramble of, okay, this person's captured, now we gotta save this person. Oh, this person's captured, this one. Just never, like, over and over and over and over and again. That's the whole movie. That, like, the whole movie is constantly a different person in peril, and then switching it up, and it felt very repetitive after a while. I strongly feel like the first half of the film worked better than the second half, mostly because it just kept rehashing things, where some of its newer ideas don't go anywhere, and then they just kind of rehash plots from the previous two movies. Like the ending, I didn't like the ending at all, because I felt like it was a remix of the last two finales of the last two movies. I mean, for real. Like, there was... in the last movie, there's like a sinking ship, and some of Sully's kids are being captured by the antagonist on a sinking ship, and he has to go and rescue them. on a sinking ship. And that was the second movie's finale. And also this one also includes that. Just on top of that, there is also elements of the first movie's finale. And it's just kind of smashed together. And because we've already seen those things, they have no impact. So I kind of hated the ending. It did not need this last hour. It was so long that by the time you get to the finale, you were just done, emotionally done. You're like, okay, we're done. This should have ended by now, and it's still going on. And you're like, oh, okay. Basically, the protagonists have 3 plots going on. Kiri, who is like trying to connect to the Earth Mother. Some of that is interesting, but for the most part, I feel like they almost overplay their hand with the Spirit Mother stuff, because the Earth being alive and very mystical works fine, but the more they show that sentience and show her as like a character, like the world as a character, I think it loses its kind of magic where like you can actually commune with her so directly. I don't know, but that's my opinion. Kiri uses her connection with Eywa to basically let Spider, the human Tarzan kid, breathe the Na'vi air, and that becomes a whole thing as people are trying to capture him so that they can study him, so that they can reproduce it for other people. This is a big plot, and it's considered like, oh, if they figure it out, then all humans can breathe air and it will be fine. And I'm like, I mean, maybe they can duplicate this spiritual thing that Kiri has created on a whim. Maybe. But even if they can't, it might be too expensive to do on a wide scale. It might be this. Like, the assumption that this is something that could definitely be easy to replicate on a mass scale. I think people kind of jump the gun on that. You know, it moves the plot, sometimes in very stupid ways. Characters acting kind of ridiculous for drama. It's fine. Those are the 2 protagonist plots that worked, I think, the best. The whale one, oh my god, I can't believe we're still on the whales. Like, last movie, the whale thing was kind of ridiculous. They somehow, it's even worse. First of all, if we're gonna have the whales, why do we have subtitles for the whales? Even the people making the movie must understand that having subtitles for the whales are ridiculous. Because there's several moments in the film where they don't translate and put subtitles for the whales, and the chief of the water people just speaks for them, and it's already better. Like, those parts just feel a little more, just it reads better, it feels better. Being able to speak with the whales so directly, I think, just takes away from the potential magic and grandeur of those scenes. Like, every time they put those subtitles up, I just start laughing because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work because the translations for it are just silly. It's silly. I think that would improve that section by a lot, just removing those subtitles, because you don't need them. Like, literally, if you remove all the subtitles and keep it exactly the same, it works fine, because most of the subtitles are self-evident. Like, you don't need to hear what the exact words they say to get the gist of what's happening. It's usually self-evident what's happening. It's just, it's silly. It's silly. But the whales plot in general just kind of was so extended. I know they're trying to give Jake's son something to do, but I mean, he did this thing last movie was this, and it's just kind of a repeat, except this time he's trying to convince all the whales to fight and all the whales to defend themselves, and it's like, oh, let's have a whale council to discuss whether we're going to fight or not, and him speaking at the whale council. It's kind of silly the way it's done. It takes so much time away from the other things that are more interesting. Like, if we took out the whales and focused more on Villain Lady, that would make the movie better, in my opinion. Because you were expecting more to happen with her. They kind of build her up, and then she kind of doesn't do much. In the finale, at least. In the finale, there's like a lot of successions of things happening. It's like lots of things. It just keeps going on and on and on and on, and you're like, just pick a climax. Don't have all of them. All right, I'm going to talk about spoilers. So the whales eventually decide to fight, and it's a big moment because those whales are usually pacifists, and then they start fighting. And then afterwards, Kiri like connects with Awan, the spirits of the earth, and then all the animals start fighting, which is a repeat of the end of the first movie, which I think did this concept better. But it doesn't, even within the context of this movie, it doesn't have the same resonance, because the whales, which are much more dangerous than a lot of other animals, have already started fighting. So the fact that other animals get in on the action at that point after they've started fighting doesn't feel as impactful, because we've already gotten the hardest animals to convince to fight. So it just narratively, I don't think it's in a good place. But, I enjoyed it because I think there was fun things in it, and the first half's kind of action sequences I thought worked pretty well until the plot armor got egregious. I mean, some of the plot armor is so ridiculous that you're just like, they should be dead. They should be dead, or their hair things should be cut off. It just keeps going of them surviving things in a convoluted way. But I enjoyed some of it. It is definitely long. It might not be worth 3 hours of your time. If you enjoyed the first two movies, I think you should watch it. I think it's fun and in line with the first two movies. Like the first two movies, it has the subtlety of a brick being thrown into a glass window. Its moral lessons are never subtle, and it's very, vague, spiritual mumbo-jumbo is still there, though in some cases a little less than in previous movies, which I think is an improvement. I don't mind, putting spiritualism in a movie, but it needs to be meaningful, not just vague mumbo-jumbo. But, it is what it is. I'm happy I watched it. I think other people might not be. But what did you think of Avatar Fire and Ash? Tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you liked this review and would like to see more like it, please subscribe. Also, I have a book, Bone Song, Diary of a Sentient Sword. I release a chapter for free every week. You can find it in the link below. Happy reading, guys. Take care.